Okay, so I've been asked to kind of build futuristic architecture, and to be honest with you, it's really nothing more than coming up with a style. So it's more of an imagination type of thing than it is anything else. So if I'm going to just grab my line tool here. So if I'm going to draw any type of architecture, it's just a matter of knowing what style the building is and that type of thing. So I'm just really quickly going to get rough out just kind of a basic idea of a building here. Nothing fancy, it's the rough concept, all right? And so once that's done, once you get that idea down, it's just a matter of putting the modern day aspect of what that building is. So in all reality, I'm just going to really quickly grab and fill this, and I'm just making a shadow up, so this is not. And we're just going to do the paint bucket real quick here. Actually, we'll do a gradient fill. I'm just going to go. Okay, so once you've got the idea of what what your building is, it's nothing more than getting the concept in. Um, Build out your basic shapes, and that's for anything you do. And then on top of that, you just start building what your idea of a futuristic building is. A futuristic building could have more modern day. Um, Say we're putting a doorway in there, so the doorway would have maybe, I don't know, just kind of flesh out real quick door. Maybe the doors in the future are time locked, so you want to add in that aspect. Maybe you're putting in so you've got your digital keypad, or you've got your scanner bar here. So you want to put those aspects in. If it's got windows, um, oops, you want to have in some sort of aspect of how does that window actually fit in the scene. Maybe octagon windows are the thing of the future. Um, you never know until you come up with a style. So maybe that changes the door style. Maybe you want to keep that you know cohesive. Um, Maybe in the future you've got. Let me just kind of flesh out. Maybe you've got these ramps that kind of block the doorway, and I don't know why, or just it's something that gives you this idea of the way the scene actually goes. Um, so you want to flesh out that building. You want to get the idea of what that building means to you. You can't say, okay, this building is going to be, you know, you can't say this building is going to be futuristic, and you have to look at trends today. You have to look at trends in the past and say, well, what did this building, how has this changed? And if you notice, styles kind of repeat itself and go over and over and over again. So maybe awnings are a thing of the future, instead of let me just draw something here. I'm just going to put a real quick awning here. Maybe you've got these arches that help, with sunlight now. Maybe the sun is gotten so bright that people can't stand in the sun anymore. So you want to put the awning in there. Maybe this is a front store, so maybe you've got Back to the Future. Think of what's coming, and and how things are being built, and maybe design flaws or design principles. Um, Maybe things are made more modular now. So instead, it's a bits and pieces. Maybe I'm building up planes, and you just kind of put in these pieces, and they're just these little corners, and everything snaps in like Legos. You don't know. I mean, that's where your imagination comes in. Building for the future is what you make of it. I mean, if the sun is too much, or maybe you've got Eat at Joe's. Maybe this is a little diner. Maybe they've gone back to that. So maybe Eat at Joe's is kind of a hovering sign now. So just blocking in. Maybe people are giving billboards, paying money to put billboards on their house. If maybe that trend caught on. It really is, um, how you decide the future goes. And I'm just kind of blocking this in. And that's the biggest thing is, maybe if this is a diner, maybe it's out in Southern California. So, these the restaurants, the mobile restaurants, they have in these campers and stuff. That's really big and popular out there. Maybe that's turned into a craze, and now the people are doing it. Maybe it's got a ship or rockets on it. Maybe the ship flies. So it's the concept of how you have kind of built up your future. Maybe this is on wheels. Or rockets. So I'm just kind of, you have to think about it. You have to put that thought concept in there and say, well, what do they do in the future? Because if you don't have this, if you don't have that concept, you're just you're basically going in blind. And so by doing that, maybe I've put in here, I've got to have some ventilation. So if this is a restaurant, Eat at Joe's, I've got to have some sort of ventilation in there. And how are things vented in the future? I mean, is it just grates now? I just kind of put maybe they've come up with a way to solidify the air so it's not, so it's not this concept of maybe it's kind of like a fish gill. I mean, you have to look at things around you and think how people are going to do things like that. So I mean, it's just a matter of, I'm going to just drop in. And I'm just going to, and that shadow, oops, select, reselect, and that shadow would not go around the corner, so I'm just going to dump that in there. And then I kind of like this shadow here, so I'm just kind of and then just a matter of putting my gradient fill in, things like that. I'll just go, I don't know, build up smaller. So, you know, and putting in shadows, and all of those things really help. You know, just by blocking in that, you know, maybe as that happens, maybe these um, maybe you have chairs that pop out of the walls. You know, so a customer can sit and eat now. You know, again, it's really about how you as a individual think of what the future is going to be like. Um, you know, and that's a key point in any, you know, industry is, or you know, any creative industry is, you've got to kind of picture what's going on, because if you don't have an idea, you know, if you can't sit and analyze um, what's going on, then you're kind of just starting out with that empty box, and that's all you're ever going to do is create that empty box. Whereas if you can say, oh, hey, you know, in the future we're going to have mobile restaurants. You know, they come and eat at Joe's. The signage pops up. Um, you know, they've got rocket engines, and they just fly around and hover, or you know, take a look at how the Japanese, you know, they have these little buildings, and everyone comes and sits and eats, and you know, things like that. It's, you look at the cultures around you, things around you, and that will basically allow you to create what you want, futuristic or otherwise. I mean, I've decided, okay, this is, you know, things are modular construction now, so I'm just going to kind of, you know, put things in here that kind of break it out, and you know, you've got your screw panels and things like that. Um, you know, think about how things are actually made. You know, everything's turned into kind of a modular aspect in this day and age. You know, maybe I'm going to just simply put in my modular panels here and something like that, and you know, start breaking that out. And as far as texture and stuff, you just want to do studies on, you know, every kind of texture that's out there. You know, maybe that's using its own self-contained fuel and things like that. So those are things that you want to pay attention to. You know, get your perspective down, and then it's pretty much what you want. Um, you know, how do you see the future? All right.